So I can't even resort back to any stats or anything like that. Huh?
3, 2, 1, we're live. All right. Welcome everybody to sports, politics, and everything in between. Today I have with me Joe Fritz and Murph Washington. We're going to start off with politics since Joe tried to throw that out there a little bit earlier than I wanted him to when we were off camera. So Joe, introduce yourself, man. Kind of tell people what you do, where you're at. Neither one of these guys can vote for me, but I've known both of them forever. Great friends, like brothers to me, so I just figured I'd start off having them here. So, Joe, go ahead. You can introduce yourself and ask that question.
I'm Joe Fritz, and I am lucky enough to be here with Murph and Charles for, was this episode 1, season 1, episode 1? Is that right?
No, this ain't nothing because I'm not recording yet.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so we're going to start now.
All right.
All right, Joe, go ahead.
So I'm Joe Fritz, and I'm here with Murph and Charles, and we're on season 1, episode 1.
Sports, politics, and everything in
The
between.
grand debut.
Yes, it
It's
is.
awesome. Well, thank you for having me here. And I was asking before we started recording, I got in trouble for it. You got endorsed by Obama.
Yes, I did, man. So that kind of came as a surprise to me. I woke up Friday morning with a text and a Facebook post and Twitter post saying thanks. Wasn't something I even knew was coming down the pipe, man. It was he's been endorsing people, and I guess the process is they give him people from each state and say, here's their background, here's their information, here's their website stuff, and then he picks out of that who he wants to endorse. So kind of, yeah, he did his research, and he's Team Clayton, man. I got that endorsement, which is huge considering when he first ran, I was part of his first motorcade to come through Iowa and had to help get him, myself, and a few other guys that I rounded up with me all the way from the other side of Algona, stops all the way in between down to Fort Dodge, and then all the way to the other side of Ames to Ankeny. Got a picture with him. He signed my book, Audacity of Hope. So, yeah, that was kind of a come full circle on that one, man, you know?
That's full circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
So, Murph, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
All right, Murphy Washington, lifelong friend of Mr. Clayton. Got a basketball background with Mr. Clayton also. So yeah, considering that we're talking about just some sports, yeah, let's start off with a little bit of sports. First of all, we're in the purple room. If you know Chuck, you know it's a Laker room. Some other guys might even think that it's the Minnesota Vikings room, some purple rain or whatnot. But
We'll go with the Purple Rain because I'm a big Prince fan, but no Vikings, got Steelers only. But yeah, we can say this is the Prince room. I'm all for that.
okay, so
Yeah, keep talking crap, and now the Dev's about to cry. So just make sure you know that.
all right. So we had got a chance to just even scratch the surface a little bit talking about the Lake Show. So what'd you think? I mean, Bron, real deal. He's gonna do it for your Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that kind of knows me, I've never been a big LeBron fan, but you gotta give it up for his greatness. I mean, 37 and dropping triple doubles in the playoffs like nothing, taking over games pretty much when he wants to. His longevity is probably something that's going to be the greatest in sports history. I can't even limit it to basketball. The only other person maybe has this much longevity, and I don't even think they would come as far as LeBron did, might be Joe's boy Tony Hawk. Somebody that has done it over decade after decade after decade in a sport. And no matter how old they got, was still the trendsetter. For Bron to be doing this at this age and chance to win the championship, I mean, I think they're going to win it. It's unbelievable, man.
Because then after that, I think, yeah, just that Bron's going to be able to make history. What, 3 different franchises, 3 different championships. Well, I guess, Robert Horry, he probably already did that, right? How many Horry got as far as just overall rings?
Horry with Lakers and Houston only, wasn't it?
See, and I was thinking that San Antonio for some
He did get San Antonio. And John Sally would be in that same boat because John Sally got Detroit Pistons and then he had Lakers, and then he had Chicago Bulls. So Sally would also be there. So for him to be the star
Yeah.
of all of them is a big accomplishment. But it also, to me, and this is why I'm not a huge LeBron fan, he's also gone places with pretty stacked rosters to win. So I can't say he's ever built from the ground up to win championships and really went through a major grind.
I don't know. I had to see, and that's where I can contest that, because you got to look at the Cleveland days, and it's like, all right, yeah, who do you have on Cleveland? And that's why he jumped ship. But he was one of the first guys to build that three-headed monster. You know, him, D Wade, and Bosh. You know, and they got that
not
start.
true.
They came together though. Because
Paul Pierce and the Celtics had their big three, and that's why Bron needed a big three. So let's get the Celtics some credit here. And we could go back even further to Magic, Worthy, Kareem. Big threes have been around forever. But Bron needed a big three because of the Celtics' big three.
But don't they tend to trend to go to where he's at? Because he's not
That
going
might closer to you.
He's not going to where they're established. They're coming to where he is, right?
Not necessarily, because that summer he went to Miami. You got to remember, Chris Bosh and D Wade could have went to Cleveland. Bron went where D Wade was, the proven champion that already won a championship. So that's what I mean. He stacked the deck there. Yes, they had to still win it. They won the Dirk and the Miracles. I mean, they lost the Dirk and the Miracles. So come on now. And even with this Lakers process, they knew it was going to be 1 year and then free agency and grab one or two guys. Great player. Even in those early Cleveland years, yeah, he got him there. He didn't win. I mean, stay the course.
And they weren't stacking at that time. See, I think that's great that you bring that up, that there was other teams that did it prior to him, but that's one of the reasons that everybody hates LeBron. They was like, yeah, he was stacking teams, blah, 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 blah. He couldn't have did it if he didn't do these things. But even your Lakers did it back in the day.
By drafts.
So how did that even come into the conversation when you were talking about the big three?
Because they had a big three. Magic, Kareem, Worthy. They already had Kareem, and they drafted Magic, they drafted Worthy. They made it autonomously, kind of like you see with before KG jumped on the Warrior ship, or even what I think Denver is building now, autonomously got to that point. What Oklahoma City had before they broke it up, autonomously. Bird, Mikhail Parrish, you know. So there's been big threes. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. To me, Bron, the most artificial way, got his next to the Boston Big Three, because there again, Boston did draft them, but LeBron chose that path. It's different when a team says we're going out trading people, and a guy just says, let me see what team I can go to just.
So it's not LeBron's fault. Basically, that's just that system, man, because of free agency. Like just growing up, you know, hey, at that point we were invested in just a dynasty in itself. But with the free agency aspect that's added into things, you got to do those things. I mean, that's why there's that free agency, and that's why it's so vital.
Yeah, you look at Barry Sanders. I mean, Barry Sanders was undeniably amazing, but he was on the Lions for how long? So if Barry Sanders would have been in Dallas, what would have happened for him?
He wouldn't have won either because Dallas is horrible. But if he went to Pittsburgh, yeah, he probably would have got three. He probably would have got 3 championships. I mean, but Dallas, no, it would have been a joke.
But at the Emmitt Smith time, if he would have just traded places with Emmitt Smith, he's saying that he wouldn't have done nothing in Dallas.
He would have. He would have.
Just that entire setup. Yeah.
And again, just because I like to see people go through that grind is one of the knocks I got against LeBron. Great player, top 5 player of all time, no doubt. Would have been more meaningful if he would have stayed in Cleveland and eventually won his 2 or 3 championships, because he would have. I mean, he just would have. There's no way around that. So that's my knock. That's my knock.
When he was, they were talking to him, I think yesterday, and they're like, "What do you feel?" He's like, "I don't feel shit until we get this done." And that's almost like when I was talking to Chuck about getting to his 50 mark.
Yeah.
And now he's got Obama, and that's basically what you would say, minus that.
Well, yeah, because it's like never let your headlines get too big. And basically, that means don't let your head get too big. So, my campaign's been going great. I mean, absolutely great. We've raised a lot of money. We've got a lot of support locally. The Obama endorsement is huge. People have really came out to just show their support, and they think, hey, me and Joe are outside ready to come in the door, and a lady walks up and points at my yard sign and says, "Are you that Clayton? Are you the Clayton running?" Like, yeah, that's me. She's like, "I'm voting for you." Like, oh crap! Like,
Yeah.
those things happen to me a lot. So it's amazing.
She was starstruck.
Nice.
Yeah, she's
Nice.
like, I don't even know, and she just walked. She just had to keep walking.
Did they ask you for an autograph also?
No, she didn't even see me, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this-
just
look it up.
blinded by the light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been great, but you haven't done anything till you win. You know, I keep saying that I think I have the support to win, but that support has to go out and vote. You know, I gotta get people to vote, register to vote, and vote. So, but it's been great. It's been great. I got no complaints.
So basically, connecting that to even a sports philosophy, a participation award, that's just not going to do it for you.
No, Denver did not care last night at all that everybody said they were resilient and they fought hard and made history by coming back. I am not going to give a crap if I made history because I was the first African American male from Fort Dodge on that ballot. I want to win, plain and simple. There's no kumbaya awards, there's no participation awards. I want to win. And if you don't win, or if I don't win, then I didn't accomplish anything.
You know, and just even thinking about just your approach as far as like, all right, so just relating things to sports. You know, it's like, all right, yeah, the trash talk, you get in people's head at that point, getting other individuals out their game. And it's like, that's not even the philosophy that you've been taking. It's just more of, all right, hey, this is the work that I'm going to put in. I'm going to let my work just show and prove.
Yeah, I get messages all the time. Hey, this person or these people are talking bad about you on social media, trying to make you look like a bad person. And I just say, don't even send me that stuff because there's like a great championship team. Our 88 championship team, Coach Goodman never worried about the other team. It was like, this is what we need to do. And this, if we do this, what we are supposed to do, we're going to win. I'm just worried about Team Clayton, man. I don't have time to bring down anybody's character, talk about anybody. I'll focus on the voting history that my candidate or my opponent has. But other than that, I just want to worry about what Team Clayton's doing, man, and I want to get to the finish line.
You know, even connecting that to, all right, so Mason City, they got a chance to play against Webster City. So we got a chance to drop on down 3A football. And so
Make sure you get the mic up.
a lot of these smaller schools, you know, boom, hey, we're dropping on down. They're looking, all right, Big Mason City's coming on down to our level.
Yeah.
But the team that we went against, Webster City, ended up sort of blowing us out just because it was a different system that we weren't used to. And the format they had was very big line. They'd come up, they'd have a preset, and then at that point, they'd set it in. And we didn't
shift.
know. Yeah, we didn't know which side the strong side was going to be. And then at that point, they had a swing back quarterback. So it's something that we hadn't saw before.
Okay.
As far as 4A football. And shoot, they got up about 35 on us. The Clark started running, and yeah, we just weren't prepared. But that's sort of relevant to what you're talking about as far as like, it's not you preparing for the other team. It's more of, hey, this is my game plan. This is what I'm going to execute, and that's how we're going to be successful.
Exactly. You know, you're in Fort Dodge, so when you talk about Mason City,
They were in black.
yeah, you getting crickets right now. So we don't do that in Dodge.
They're red and black also. That's my claim to fame. I still get to wear red and black to the game.
There you go.
All right, so for sports, politics, and everything in between, I want to jump to the in between, and we can jump back to either sports or politics. Black Panther, Chad, and passing.
That's huge.
That's
It's a
huge.
huge blow.
That's huge. Go ahead, Joe. I'll let you go first, man.
You gotta go back to when Marvel. All right, let's go back to Stan Lee. Stan Lee was such a visionary because he cared about everybody. So Black Panther was made because of the Black Panthers, because of racism. You go to the X-Men. Why were the X-Men made? because of homosexuality. He was addressing that through the mutation, so he made the X-Men because they had the mutation. So he was always very
Ahead of his
diverse,
time.
ahead
Wow.
of his time, so far, and that's why he was so celebrated. And he didn't start getting that credit that he needed until the very end of his life by being celebrated, and people saw this. But so you take the Black Panther, and it was viewed as a risk, and you look at it now, and you're like, why was that a risk? Because it was the biggest payoff Marvel could have done, because they brought in such an audience, and you look at everywhere, and everybody was doing Wakanda Forever. It was so big. And with Chadwick was the perfect. And now everybody at Marvel and everybody has to be saying, shit, we got 2 of these left. Because he was only on Black Panther 1. And then he made his appearance in Civil War and in Infinity War and Endgame. But what do you do to fill those shoes now? That's
Yeah, I
such
think-
a loss.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, all right, yeah, who do you get to replace him? Who would have that impact as far as like with Boson?
See, and I'm leaning toward, and some people don't like this, but I would really like to see them do what's happened with the Batman character over
Yeah.
all these years. Let's find some other young, brilliant African American talent, give them their chance and their spotlight, and keep rolling it that way. I think would be the best way to serve this versus putting another one character in that role and saying you got to live up to this for 2, 3, 4, 5 more movies. I would really like them to see go that route that the Batman character has kind of gone.
Yeah.
And they've had iconic guys that played for Batman as far as like who was it? Michael Keaton.
Yes.
some of
Michael
those other
Keaton,
guys that were going
Clooney,
through.
Kilmer, Bale was one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And now you got, I mean, Affleck. I liked Affleck. I mean, doing the Dark Knight Returns. You know, I mean, that was good, and doing the old man Batman. But now you got Pattinson coming up, and then that was just like people were talking about Pattinson the way they were talking about Ledger. You can't have Brokeback Mountain doing Joker. Oh, he was the greatest Joker ever.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And then you got Pattinson coming in, and I'm like getting goosebumps just seeing these new trailers for what they're doing with him, and it's like, and he's looking at it as a role, and he's not looking at it as shoes to fill, and he's like, I'm gonna do it my way, and he's like, yeah, I'm not really working out and stuff, and from what it looks like, it's good.
So Phoenix isn't gonna roll on over into this Batman.
It's gonna be two different levels right now. So we got we're looking at the Batman.
Uh-huh.
We got Affleck still coming back. He's gonna do that,
Okay.
and then he's gonna be in the Flash.
Yep.
And then we got Keaton coming back too,
I saw
and
that
he's
too.
gonna be in some sort of role bringing that back. So
Gotcha.
we're gonna have 3 Batmans and
Yeah.
2 Iconics, and so I mean I don't really think like the timeline is like an issue now with what they're doing. And I was glad that Affleck's coming back because I like him. And have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is jacked again. So he got off the alcohol and he's in shape. So
I should take that same workout.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a whole different.
Key word is get off the alcohol.
That's a whole different story, right?
Yeah.
But as far as Black Panther, what do you think? Who's some names that they threw out there? Who would you like to see playing that?
I don't even know. I mean, like, cause I think like you're still like reeling from that. It's like if they were talking about putting somebody in the Joker. I mean, it's still fresh in your mind, like that's Chadwick. So it's like I think you gotta have some time that passes before you start brainstorming, being like, well, we could do this, you know.
I don't have a person, but I want to see a new untapped resource.
Okay.
I don't want to see some legendary person thrown in that role. Give me another young, fresh-faced, energetic guy that can bust himself on the scene. I just don't know how so fresh off of this pain, putting an iconic figure in there, how that's gonna play out.
Gotcha. You know, like even when I was riding on out there, I was thinking about, all right, just different superhero powers, and even like Black Panther, the way that he had morphed into the Black Panther. It was like, all right, does Black Panther continue to age, or is it like, hey, you're so old, and then at that point, hey, we're gonna have the different king, and so
Yeah.
would it be what if his heir had got old enough, and then he would be the next Black Panther?
Yeah.
And so I mean that's how that power goes, right?
Right, and that's like when his dad, in the original, his dad was killed, because you had the Claw character, and they wanted the vibranium, and then he was messing his dad up, and that's how his dad got killed. And then he ended up having to go underground for a bit. Then he comes back, and then he can defeat the guy that killed his dad. But it can also be passed because that's ultimately what would have happened with his dad passing the reins to him as well, because he was the rightful heir of Wakanda. But you look at that with too what Stanley did in Wakanda in vibranium, and that's where Cap's shield came from, and Tony Stark's dad making Cap's shield. And you get Tony Stark in there, and then he's looking at all this tech, and that tech's better than what he's putting out, you know? And so that's really celebrating African Americans. And like when I didn't see 42 until after I saw Black Panther, so I for real thought Chadwick Boseman was African, because he did such a good job.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of people thought that.
Like, bro, and then I saw 42 as well, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is just so multifaceted. And then he's doing that he had cancer. You know,
That's something.
it's crazy.
Because I saw those, 21 Bridges,
Mm-hmm.
and you could
You
see.
can see he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah, I just watched that last week. I was like, damn, yeah, nobody was even paying attention to it. And he didn't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if he had lost the weight for that role. That's probably what they were thinking.
Well, and that's what everybody was saying at the time, that he lost a lot of weight for that role, which in reality, yeah, he was fighting that the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as like just even superhero ability, what type of, like if you could have any of those superpowers, which one would you take? So Joe, what would you take? Superman? Would you be Hulk? Would you be?
I mean, out of DC and Marvel, my two favorite guys was always Batman and Iron Man, because they didn't have the powers. They were human, and they were using the resources to. Obviously, the resources were they were rich, but they were extremely smart. And then, like with Batman, his first skill was he was a detective more so than being a badass with fighting and everything else, having the gadgets. You know, and like with Tony Stark, I mean, he was always arrogant, but he was always so well put together, and then he's always on a learning curve about how he needed to change his shit because he was too arrogant, you know, so he's always learning. But I always admired them because of just not having the powers, you know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Just mortal man. Huh? Okay.
And then you got Wolverine. You gotta go Wolverine, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
John.
Number one on my list, Luke Cage.
Luke
Okay.
Cage.
Like by far, like the whole story of Luke Cage, from the experiments that happened to him when he was in prison and everything, and getting out and just being on the street fighting that normal day-to-day battle kind of in a way, not the extraterrestrial battlefield, and then just his invincibility. I've always been like, yeah, I wish Luke Cage could make it on the big screen, because to me, that's, again, as an African American, that's always been like one of the stories and one of the heroes that it's like, man, it's like you really talk about the things that are going to affect young black kids, and a great role model for them to look up to. It's always been Luke Cage.
And the cool thing about them too is that they were B-level characters. So it was
Yes.
Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and that was the cool thing they're doing, was they had a white guy and a black guy together,
Yeah.
and they were buddies, and they were fighting like the B-level guys, and then pretty soon they get called up to the big leagues, and then they're like, oh shit, we gotta.
Well, don't forget about what's the female that's with him?
Oh, it's Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got them as, you know, African American and white, and a female, all as that B-level thing, that then got their chance to go to that next level. Which again, in this day and age, you're talking about like how powerful that is, man.
Yeah. What about you?
You know, it's undecided, man. It's undecided. It's, you know, I'm not even just looking at just the powers in itself. It's that invincibility. So I was thinking more of Superman, but then of course Superman dies in a movie. It's like, what the hell? So that part is like, do I want to fly? Do I want to be able to be invisible? Do I want to just be super strong? I mean, you know, which characteristics do I want? So I was thinking more of the Superman thing, you know, but then he died. So I don't know. I sort of got to scrap that one.
He comes back though, and then he puts on the black suit with the chrome S, and he's got a mullet for a while, and Then he comes back to being him. So
I don't know if I can rock that mullet, man. You know. All right.
Oh man. So yeah, sports, man. Let's talk football and let's talk COVID.
Sooners came back yesterday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can say they came back.
I mean, they played yesterday.
If you can say they came back,
Yeah.
K-State, man, that's a huge upset, man.
Mhm.
That's a big controversial topic, man. And the biggest thing, like I'm going to say college, is I was really proud of college athletes for stepping up and kind of demanding their right to play, their right for safety, their right for health care, and even advocating for some of those sports, these billion-dollar schools, companies, really more than schools, are trying to get rid of. You had the Pac-10 saying, no, you can't get rid of any of these sports. Like, no, we're going to stick up for swimming and women's sports and things. I really just, more than anything else, really applaud college athletes of today for finding their voice and stepping up into that space. So,
Because I think that is cool that, all right, so you got an 18-year-old kid, yeah, they can go and fight in the military, they can go and fight for your country, and you can even vote and just different things along those lines. So why wouldn't they have the power to be able to decide what their fate is going to be and have that opportunity? Because one of the pros I was looking at was just that they're going to get that exposure, and then at that point they're going to have that opportunity. It's a short span that you will have opportunity to do so. So being that you're there, you're in college, you've committed, yeah, let's move forward. So I appreciate that those guys stepped up, and then that the other conferences are starting to kick in. And so the other pro is just revenue in itself. And the con would be just how those activities, besides just even sports activities, like, all right, how are they going to be affected? Like I would say, they're dealing with, I think it's more of a drama and acting department, a different department that's shutting down because, all right, yeah, where's that revenue coming from? And a lot of people don't know where that revenue is coming from in order to have these different activities inside of the colleges.
Yeah, I mean, like back when Ames was the hot spot, and then they're like, we're gonna do 25,000 people.
like a week ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
You know, that's
something.
in today's
Go
terms,
for it.
the amount that happens in a day. I mean, we could talk about that for the whole time.
True,
And
true.
for versus a week, but and I think that the fans are the fans, but you have to differentiate between a player and a fan. You got to differentiate between what a fan wants and what a player wants, and what's good for the overall. So you got to take yourself out of that and be like, yeah, I want to go, but I understand that there's these things happening, and there's a lot of that's not happening.
Well, and even with that, they're not trying to think outside the box, I think, for those extra programs or clubs, like you said, drama. Iowa Central did a concert for their drama department, I believe it was, or one of their music departments, at the Ocean Park Band Shell just about a week ago. So let's start thinking outside the box, you know what I mean? If you really value these kids, let's start thinking outside the box. And you can't tell me that you can't do a paid Zoom concert for some of these theater departments or these music departments, or take them outside, let them perform in and the football team can perform in the stadium, tell me they can't perform in the stadium too, and you can't socially distance. I just don't think they're thinking outside the box and really trying to find a way to make it about the student athlete or the student's experience. And it's a knee-jerk reaction that so much is unknown with COVID, but still, I just don't think taking really into, like I said, the student perspective is what they're doing at times.
And just that trickle down effect. Excuse me, it's more of, yeah, just that overall revenue. Yeah, what is that going to affect not only this year, but then next year? And then after that, you'll get some of those national conferences as far as just getting the television and network support in order to get the financing that's coming on through. They're going to see that, all right, these numbers have decreased. All right, and they're going to be able to negotiate or want to negotiate those television contracts, and how are the colleges going to be affected that way also? So a lot of revenue that's just going to be lost to Professor Coach.
Yeah, but you got to think those television contracts are years out. So by the time they probably come back up for negotiation, hopefully we'll be out of the COVID era. But there again, I mean, some of these coaches, some of these high-profile coaches and programs, they're making millions of dollars. You couldn't agree for a few years to take a little bit of a pay cut across the board for some of you higher paid football, basketball, wrestling coaches, so your other coaches and students can survive a little bit. Again, there's a way to think outside the box and make that happen, or just get rid of the box, throw it away, and start all over and find a better way to do it, and not have to disappoint so many kids that went to college for swimming. Like, we've got a few kids here from Fort Dodge that had swimming scholarships, I believe, at the University of Iowa, and now that program's going to be cut. So I just think they could have. We can do better. We can do better.
And I think that thinking outside the box, and you talk about the theater program, just take a page off of Chappelle.
Yeah.
Chappelle was the very first one who was like, all right, I've got this place, we're gonna do it outdoors.
Exactly.
We're gonna distance, we're gonna do temperature checks, you're gonna wear masks, and then I'm gonna come out here and talk. And he was the first one doing it, and then we had the drive-ins. People out there at the drive-in doing it.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I think that, Biden obviously took a page out of that, cause he's doing the drive-in
Yep.
off that, and then he's getting made fun of for doing it, but it definitely ain't sardines.
Exactly.
Either. So,
Exactly.
Right.
But I think that a lot of people see that and they're like, well, they're doing that, and then they're packing in this airline terminal, this terminal and stuff like that. But there's going to be consequences of it.
Yeah.
There always is, And it's just like when Oklahoma happened, and then they got that picture of Herman Cain being like, Herman Cain's down here and he ain't got no mask on, and then pretty soon after that he was in the hospital.
Yeah, that was sad for me, because Herman Cain was one of my original heroes, man. I can remember being in middle school, opening up a Ebony or Jet magazine and seeing this African American that's running Godfathers, and it was like, yes, like greatest thing ever, man. So again, when he passed, that was a lot of mixed emotions for me, man, and how to deal with that. And but yeah, that was definitely one of my original African American look up to, aspire to be, and then to see the just lack of it, maybe even for his own physical concern, being an older person, to not be wearing your mask, that was, yeah, that's a tough one.
I think you've seen a lot of that change. I mean, I didn't understand that, but I think you see a lot of change, and you understand who Marco Rubio really is. You see who Ted Cruz really is. You see who Cotton really is. You see who Rand Paul really is. Because they were all saying a lot of different stuff back in 16, and they were all propping themselves up a lot different back in 16. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I hope that you guys are not planning on doing nothing in the future, because a lot of this is all going to come back and be like, well, this is what you said before. I mean, that's a simple thing of Lindsey Graham. Use my words against me. Oh, but it was different back then, see? It was different, so don't use my words against me now.
And that's my thing, man. It's like I get a lot of advice on my campaign, and I keep saying I'm gonna stay authentic. I'm gonna stay true. This is who I am. Am I gonna say things or do things that I may have to apologize for, I may regret, or learn from? But I'm gonna be authentic. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be that passionate person that's gonna fight and have to get loud, and have to. There's gonna be some people that loves my passion because it works for them, and people are gonna hate my passion because it don't work for them. But I'm gonna stay Chuck. I mean, I'm gonna stay the person I've always been, win, lose, or draw, and keep fighting the good fight and getting into good trouble.
It's always easier to remember the truth.
Exactly. Exactly.
But about the sports, so they did distance at the game,
Yep.
and that was crazy to see the stands like that, but they were doing it. So
Okay. Oh, for some of the college games?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention.
yeah, yes.
But I did go to a high school game on Friday, and everybody came in and everybody had their mask on.
Okay.
And then at that point we were skipping bleachers. That's how the seating was mapped out.
Okay.
And of course, being over in Webster City, the visiting side was very small.
Yeah.
So we were still sort of packed in there. And so I think that was probably a little scary for some of the older people that were sitting out in the audience.
Okay.
But everybody was pretty respectful as far as just keeping on the mask.
Yeah.
So.
I did notice that I got an email the other day from my district, and they're saying that as with many districts, we have had somebody test positive, and there was really a lot of vagueness to it because we got 3 different locations, and they said that they're going to be doing the contact tracing, which my kid did say that she's got an assigned seat because of contact tracing. But if you guys had Apple products whatsoever, you would know that they have this app where you can do.
Not Samsung?
No, not Samsung, man. They have an app where
not,
you can
not
do.
my G6?
No.
Or is it S6?
No.
Okay.
G6. They have a contact tracing that's built in now that they did on the software update, and then you go to do it and you select Iowa, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, bro, Iowa's not doing that." So I mean, it's just like we don't even have that.
No, I didn't even know that.
But they're saying that they're going to be doing the contact tracing and that it's 6 feet for 15 minutes, and then they didn't even say if it was high school, if it was middle school or elementary, so then you're just kind of left. And then they said that they would contact the parents of these individuals that they're contact tracing. And then my kids are masked up all the time, which that's really fallen off, but I mean, I give them props for doing it, so at least. But I think that once this starts happening, then there's going to be more and more, and then these masks are going to come back and be like, oh, yeah, you got to wear that because this is happening.
And I think the inconsistencies, and that's the largest problem I'm having with just high school athletics and COVID, and just the effects of COVID, because it's based off of the counties. And so and everybody has a different rule as far as like what that county is.
See, I wish the counties, the local people had more freedom to decide things on their own. I really do. This isn't a one-size-fit-all pandemic. Every county's different. Every area's different. Seating for games, depending on how small or big your stadium is going to be different. So I wish there was more freedom there to do things. But the consistency has also just been crazy from our state level down. The messages that we've been getting, and that we actually have one of our largest, if not the largest school district right now, fighting our governor about COVID protocols. It's just ludicrous to me that that's going on. And then you have a bunch of the metro schools who, these poor kids aren't being able to play football right now, so they organize their own 7-on-7 flag football tournament this weekend because those kids wanted to play so badly. Yeah. So a friend of mine shot me a couple snaps of his kid playing this weekend, and I don't agree with that at all. There's a safe way to do it for the rest of the state. Those metro kids should be playing. A lot of those are predominantly black schools. If we're going to think outside that box, get rid of that box, if a school district wants to go online but allow their student athletes to still participate, they should have a right to do that. We shouldn't hold them hostage to get our way, to bully people, to then not allow that. So the consistency has been hard to deal with.
This has been scary as far as like number one Dolly. We got a chance to see that as far as baseball, and then all of a sudden, hey, they're holding that number one seed. People test positive for COVID, ended their season, didn't get a chance to play in the state tournament. So now we got the football season that's coming up. How many athletes do you think might have COVID that are not going to say anything because their entire season is going to be ruined? It's not going to be that they just got to sit out. I mean, what are going to be the repercussions for their team that they won't even be able to play games?
You got the team. I mean, and that's the whole thing. You got team, family members, and like when I am not with my kids, my mom is watching my kids. You know, and that's that old person thing, and that's unfortunate. But I would hate to have something happen to her.
Yeah.
But I mean, and going back to that as well, and not getting off what you're saying, but when you've got a school board that's predominantly red across the entire school board, I see a problem with that too. You know, that's everybody making decisions as to what is going to happen with that school.
Yeah, and could be very slanted, one-sided.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, you go back to what you were saying, and then what's the forecast for the fall and the winter? It's not very good, is it?
Yeah, and we've kind of opened up
Right.
Pandora's box here, because I keep telling people, you haven't seen upset parents, families, coaches. You try to cancel high school wrestling in Iowa after you let everybody else play and participate, we gonna have some issues. Yeah, that's one thing you don't do with Iowa, is mess with their wrestling, man. Because those wrestling parents are a different breed anyway. Shout out to my boy Shane Hartzler and some others. But, man, it's like if you really think that's going to be allowed or that's going to be something people don't fight tooth and nail, and right now it's something they're going to let them, but what's the forecast and how bad are things going to get? So, again, I don't understand the thought process has gone under this, and the consistency or inconsistency that we've been dealing with. So,
But that's where we as a society have to say, okay, it's not about me and wanting to go watch this and fill this arena. It's about these guys who are wanting to do this, they've been working to do this, and for them to achieve a goal and possibly get somewhere in their life to get a scholarship or something like that. But if we wanna make it all about us as the fans and as the family and as parents to go fill this packed arena when we're not supposed to be doing it, then that leads to problems, right?
yeah.
You know, even considering the wrestling thing, so when Blackhawk County had started testing positive, and I mean things were running rapid over there, and they had Tyson's that had shut down, and that's where a lot of it just continued to circulate. Shoot, they didn't slow down wrestling at all. There was still tournaments that was going on over in Blackhawk County. Little guys was getting over there and just still having big old camps, and those camps kept going. It was young kids that was there. So I don't think that the young kids are going to feel those effects as far as the symptoms of COVID. However, but just like how you said, is who are they going to give it to? That's going to be older. They're going to go home, give it to their parents. Their parents might give it to their grandparents, and that's where those problems are.
Yeah.
So we'll finish up. We will throw one last comment everybody can kind of put out there, whatever you want it to be. Again, this is sports, politics, and everything in between. So, Joe, I'll let you start, and then Murph, then I'll finish it off. But just the closing, anything you want to say?
Supreme Court nomination.
Big.
So you were talking about healthcare. Just a comment that was made today, and that's, I mean, no bones about it, been the want and need to get rid of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act ever since 4 years ago. There hasn't been anything done, and then whenever it's been talked about, it's always, oh yeah, we got something coming out in a couple weeks. So now we're down to less than 40 days, and Supreme Court nomination availability came up. So then Trump's down there laying out his 4 pillars of what the healthcare plan is going to be, and how prescription drugs are going to be the cheapest that they've ever been. And for some reason, we're going to send out $200 vouchers to seniors for prescriptions. So do they get money back on that since they're so cheap? Is that how it's going to go? And then they're tripping because the Democrats are saying that this is a ploy to get rid of the ACA. And now Trump said that with this nomination, that would be a big win to get rid of the ACA. Not to mention that all of the other things that come along with the votes of, you know, carrying a rapist child until term, possibly. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming with this. And then, I mean, a lot of people, the people who've spoken, there's been polls taken that this should be a thing that's decided with the next president, whether it's a continuation or not. I think it's been a lot of stuff laid out ever since March, when they started doing mock trials of a election and seeing ways that they could look at mail-in ballots and how they're filled out wrong, and they could throw them out. And then that's when they talked about how this was all, what's that called?
Voter suppression.
Corrupt, right? So this has been in the mainstream since March, and I think that unfortunately with her death, that this kind of put it into motion. And you can see where they used my words against me, and McConnell and all those guys back in 16 were like, and that was 9 months out. It wasn't 40 days, it was 9 months. And Obama waited, you know, on that. And McConnell said that that was one of his biggest achievements in his life, was to do that. So I think that there's a lot of things happening. And now they're trying to use the whole thing about, oh, she's, you know, she's got 7 kids and 2 of them are adopted from Haiti, and they're going to try to bring up where did she adopt them and did she do that properly and all this stuff. And it's like, that's kind of irrelevant, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know that is what the far extremist left wingers are saying exactly, but I think that there's more pending concerns that they're having versus how she adopted her two Haitian kids. Speaking of which, you see Kanye's in Haiti? Why is he in Haiti? Want to build a city in Haiti?
Kanye's everywhere, if you haven't noticed.
He
And
was in Jamaica,
not
but now he's in Haiti.
Not only physically, but mentally.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, why do you want to build a city in Haiti right now? You know? So I don't know. So that's what I saw. I'm all over the place with this, but I thought it was a concern. So yeah, it was official yesterday, and then now they're expecting that the nomination process will take place around October 12th, which is
Yep.
about half a month right before the elections.
Yep.
But, and then that was said too, that when he said that about the transition of power, and he said if there's not ballots, then there won't be a continuation, which basically spells out the lines to connect the dots, that if I control the courts, there's not gonna be ballots, cause I'm gonna go to court.
Exactly.
If we get the ballots thrown out, there's not ballots, it becomes a continuation. So it's been said, and it's recorded, and just like everything else, there's a tweet, there's a recording, there's video, there's audio, you know, suckers and losers and all that stuff, so that's what I was thinking.
Gotcha. Murph.
Okay. Yeah, I'm struggling on if I should talk about healthcare and insurance, or if I should talk about the NFL. You know, but yeah, talking to just a few people, as far as just their perspective on the NFL. Are they going to support the NFL? Are they going to keep on watching games? Are they going to buy merchandise? So that crowd is torn. Like, has Goodell did enough in order to win back over basically minorities back to the NFL? And then does that push white America further away from the NFL? So my stance is, I think that, the apology and just the acknowledgement of what happened with Kaepernick and the collusion in order to keep him out. You know, that's been exposed, it's been admitted to, and so I can appreciate that aspect of it. As far as the national anthem and people not feeling comfortable if somebody kneels or if they stand, my view is the military and guys that have fought for the military, that they made those choices that people could peacefully protest something, and that's what makes America so great, is that you do have that option that, all right, yeah, if you want to sit, if you want to kneel, if you want to stand, that's your option, and that's what has been protected through the military. So then we even get to looking at, all right, so if the national anthem, if it's going to cost that much of a stir up with sports, should it be removed from sports, or is that just too large of a contract to where that's just not going to happen? Well, I mean, the anthem's been removed from the schools. So I mean,
last time I checked, that wasn't created for football. It wasn't created for basketball. The flag wasn't created for that. The eagle wasn't created for that. The explanations and how many times it's got to take to explain that this is not, I mean, you got veterans, tons of veterans, active duty saying, I'm not offended by that, because that's not what it's about. I hear what you're saying and why you're doing this, and I'm not offended by you. But when you got people screaming that fire that son of a bitch and all that, you know,
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's where things get a little confusing. So, yeah, just as far as the NFL, and then just talking about the flag and people standing for the flag, and then I get a chance to look around Iowa and I see people with a tattered, tore up flag on the back of their truck, and that's disrespectful. Now that's sacrilegious right there. It's like, wait a minute, no, you're supposed to honor that flag. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you keep it off the ground. You don't have it in the back of a rusty pickup truck and you're talking about you're proud to be American. Yeah, that thing's supposed to be sacred. So
why is it too that all these people are flying this Trump flag? I don't see no American flag in their yard. Where's that at?
It's idolatry.
Or why is it that you got your Trump flag above your American flag? You're such a patriot and you're all about that freedom, but I think that's a little bit backwards on you.
Very true. All right, so yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents. So
yeah, Joe had turned his mic off. He got a little excited when he was talking about politics there a little bit. So
it worked out.
I'm going to just finish with, I think with elections coming up, local level, state level, again, I'm running for Iowa House, is don't let your national politics vote against your best interests at a local level. There may be things that you want to vote on or a person you want to vote for nationally, that same party may not reflect you, do the best for you locally here in the state of Iowa. I think I've proven in Fort Dodge that when it comes down to it, I'm going to fight for everyone. I'm going to try to do the best thing. Have done wonderful bringing in different groups of people, whether it's working with African American community and local law enforcement, whether it's talking to our county attorney, our sheriff's department, our local education, whether that's K through 12 or our community college. Make sure you got somebody that's fighting for everybody, someone that's not going to leave anybody out. It's got a track record of finding that common ground and not just 100% mimicking what may be going on at the federal level, even if that doesn't always make good for everybody here in Fort Dodge, Webster County, in District 9. So that's what I'll close with. I want to say thank you to Joe and to Murph for being here today on sports, politics, and everything in between.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Chuck.
All right, we're out. Thank you very much.
Gotta get the music.